Hello everyday and welcome to our draft breakdown for Season 1 of the XPDLA, or whatever this draft league is called. I don't exactly know, but we're going to just ignore that and continue on with the video. If you're new here or you don't know what draft league is, it is a certain kind of Pokemon battling format where you and 16 to 12, we have 16 other coaches, draft 12 or 11 Pokemon. We're drafting 12, and then every week you battle one other coach, and you have differentials, and whoever's the best differential from win to loss ratio at the end goes to the final 8 knockout tournament and everything. And I'm so excited for this league. I've been waiting years to get into a draft league, and I finally got into this one. It is an Ubers one, and I'm going to be the Florida Flygons. I will coach up your Florida Flygons, and this is an Ubers draft league, so we're allowed to draft a few Ubers, and there are point systems and everything. It'll become more clear as I go through the draft. Now, I do not draft Arceus, it's just up there so I can have it there and not spoil what any of my picks were. Now, in this league you can draft 12 Pokemon, and I drafted those 12. However, I did only just notice a few minutes ago that I made a huge mistake in my draft that I can't go back on, so let's hope that does not come back to bite us in the ass. It probably will, to be honest, but let's just hope it doesn't. Now, anyway, in this league you allowed 2 Z-move users. One can use any Z-move and one can only use attacking Z-moves, and then you get 1 Uber, 1 Tier 1, 1 Tier 2, 2 Tier 3s, a Tier 4, a Tier 5, then 500 points to spread out among 4 expensive Pokemon that you can get from a variety of different tiers, and different tiers cost different amounts. Hopefully that makes enough sense to you guys. So the better the Pokemon in the better tier, the higher the amount of points will cost. We had 20 points left at the end of our draft, so I could have probably worked it out a bit better, but hey, hindsight's 20/20. Let's jump right into our draft with our first ever pick of the Florida Flygons was Giratina Origin Form. So we're not going to be always carrying the Gracious Orb. So Giratina Origin Form, I was actually originally going for Giratina Altered Form. However, that was sniped the pick before me. If you didn't know, draft league goes so one person picks, everyone else picks, then the last pick picks again, and it goes backwards, back and forth. We were the 9th pick, which is the worst possible pick, but that's fine. It's my first ever draft league. I don't expect to win. My aim is to go 6 and 5, so just slightly positive differential. And if we get into the final knockout tournament at the end, that would be incredible, and I'd be so happy. But I'm just mostly here to have fun. I don't really care if we go 0 and 11. I'll be having fun either way. So, Giratina Origin Form, our first Pokemon. I haven't named any of these yet. I'm giving them nicknames by our week 1 match, which we'll be uploading in a week's time. We should do that. I've already started organizing with our opponent then. I won't spoil who it is though, because I'm pretty sure the league rules require that I don't. So, anyway, let's break down our draft and get into this. So, if you didn't know, in Draft League, you have to, well, it's advised to get a Fairy, Dragon, Steel Core. So, those are 3 Pokemon, 1 Fairy, 1 Dragon, 1 Steel type, and they can work really well together and resist and attack a lot of different types. So I got Giratina Origin as my first Uber and my first member of the Fairy Dragon Steel Core. I also got a Fire Water Grass Core, but that's not looking as good as this one. I'm proud of these nonetheless. So Giratina Origin, I was originally looking for the more defensive one of the two, but Origin is fine nonetheless. It has great attack, great coverage with a host of different moves. It has also moves like Defog and Destiny Bond to deal with hazards and just annoying Pokemon, especially if Giratina is really, really weak. And I would like to use the strategies. We weren't allowed to make Giratina or any of our Ubers Z users, which was a bit annoying, but I'm sure Giratina can play it off themselves. I'm very happy to have Giratina on the team, because it's a really great Pokemon. Obviously not the best, because like Zygarde 100%, Arceus, tons of great Pokemon were drafted. One guy dropped Mewtwo from their team for an even better Pokemon. I can't even remember what it was, but it's absolutely insane. Also, this league was made by Draco Nubis Gaming and Queen Bee the Loser, who, both of them, thank you so much if you're watching this video, for letting me into your league. So Giratina Origin, great Pokemon, great moveset, can hit physically and specially, so we don't need to worry about one of those, and I'm very, very excited to use this Pokemon in this league. It's getting late, so I'm going to try to get through these others relatively quickly. Next up was Greninja. So I got Greninja, but not normal Greninja, Protein Greninja. Protein Greninja is really, really good because it can, if you didn't know, Protein is a move that whenever you use a move, it instantly is stab and Greninja becomes that type. So it's very hard to hit this Pokemon super effectively unless you have a Pokemon in that can take a move that's super effective against it, because Greninja has a very wide move pool. Greninja is also incredibly fast at 122 base speed, so if you slap a Choice Scarf on this thing, it's outspeeding almost everything in this format. Slap a Choice Specs on this thing, and at one of these special attack becomes terrifying, and will pretty much sweep anything that tries to get in your way. It won't sweep, but it will do a lot of damage nonetheless. I'll probably be running some choice items on this thing, maybe a Focus Sash a few weeks. But we'll obviously be able to bring this Pokemon every week, because you draft 12 Pokemon, you can only bring 6 per week to fight the other people's team. But I'm very excited to use Greninja. It's my second favorite Pokemon of all time. I absolutely love this thing, and it was my first ever Pokemon. So let's hope that also it got us our league victory in the Birdkeeper Toby 1v1 tournament. If you all remember that, that was a lot of fun. So another reason why I love Greninja so much. Anyway, let's hop into our next pick, which was where I made the big mistake of this draft. I grabbed Mega Absol. Now, Mega Absol isn't a mistake in this draft, really, but the most important thing about any draft league, and a lot of people will agree with me on this, is that you need to get a Fairy type. Fairy types are super bulky. They resist dragons, which are very good in this format. They get rid of dark types, which are also very good in this format. And I thought that because Mega Absol has wings, it's a Fairy type. So I didn't draft any other Fairy types. So now I'm sitting here with this Dark Mega Revolution, and I've drafted 2 other Dark types. You've already seen Greninja, and I also drafted another one that you'll see later. Absol does get some Fairy type moves, which I'll be running pretty much every time I bring Absol. But this is really, really bad for us, because now we're sitting here without a Fairy type and a really big weakness to fighting, which Fairy should have been defeating itself. Giratina can handle it in some of those situations, but really I should have been more organized in this draft. And because it's my Mega, I can't swap it out for anything, putting me in the problem of what am I going to do? But this is my first ever draft league, and I don't really care if I go 0-11 this entire season. If we do, I'm fine with that. And because I'm just here to have fun. Absol will be coming in a few weeks, and hopefully we'll be having some fun using some pretty cool sets. It does get some really great moves: Fire, Dark, Normal, Fighting, Grass, Ice, Psychic, Bug, Fairy, Rock. See, it gets very wide range of moves, and I absolutely love Mega Absol. Great Pokemon, and I'm very excited to be using it. It also gave me some points in this draft, because if you get a low tier Mega, you're given points, so I used those to get some pretty good Pokemon. Moving next, I grabbed Sizzle. Sizzle's a really, really great Pokemon in Draft League. It's a tier 1 Pokemon, and it was my tier 1 pick. It's Bug Steel, so it's only weak to fire types, and also Steel type kind of rounds out what I thought was our Fairy Dragon Steel Core. Sizzle hits really, really hard in a multitude of different ways. If you give it the fire resisting berry, nothing can hit this thing super effectively, meaning this thing can basically swap in on anything and do a lot of damage, unless it's a fire type. But why would you swap Sizzle on a fire type, unless you're really losing quite spectacularly badly? Sizzle is also a great, it gets some great moves such as Defog and Baton Pass. So if you set up a Swords Dance, you can Baton Pass out into another Pokemon, because you're allowed to, I think you're allowed to send stats off in Baton Pass, but you're not allowed to pass off speed and other stats, because that's a bit OP. I'm fine with that, but we can just use Baton Pass to dry Baton Pass, and this Sizzle is a really great Pokemon, has a lot of great things that it can do, and I hope to be able to use it as well as humanly possible in this draft league. Anyway, moving on, I was trying to get 2 different legendary doggos, Raikou and Entei, but Raikou was sniped the pick before, so we could only grab this legendary dog, and we're actually going up against a team with another legendary dog this week. Entei is kind of the least versatile of the legendary dogs. However, it does hit the hardest, which is great. Really, in reality, in Draft League, you get this thing on the field, it's going to do one of 2 things. It is either going to Choice Band Extreme Speed, or it's going to Choice Band Flare Blitz. It's going to do one of those things. It does those things really, really well, but only one of those things. Also, I forgot to mention, Scizor is one of our Z users. It can only use attacking type Z moves, and I got it because Scizor is just a very good Pokemon, and I would like to be able to trust Scizor with those Z moves. Entei does get some better special type moves, such as Heat Wave, Extra Sensory, Shadow Ball, and I guess if I'm really desperate I might be using those, but the problem is special attack is a lot lower than physical attack, putting us in a situation of if we use those moves, we're kind of screwed. But Entei can still work really well. Great fire type. I actually drafted 2 fire type legendaries, but I'm going to be probably using Entei more. The other one is actually a Z user as well, but Entei is a great fire type Pokemon, hits like an absolute truck, and I do not regret drafting it one tiny bit. Moving on, so I was trying to get, what's I trying to get? Raikou. So I needed to get a replacement electric type, so I went with Executree. The main reason I went with Executree is 1, it was suggested to me, but 2, this thing has some great moves. It gets Dazzling Gleam, Energy Ball, Discharge, but the real icing on the cake that this thing gets is Tail Glow. Raises the user's special attack by 3, and if you look at this thing's special attack, it is 173. I'm pretty sure that's the highest special attack in the game. This thing hits like an absolute thunderbolt to a mouse in this game. And if you get a Tail Glow up, you can sweep a team like that. Very few things, especially if you have a good varied move pool, like the one I've just thrown on here. Dazzling Gleam, Energy Ball, and Discharge. You get that on, you get a Tail Glow off, you could make a game over by then. I would love to this season be able to get a Executree sweep, because Executree is just such an awesome Pokemon, and I'm very excited to be able to use it. Tail Glow is really the only reason I use it, and Beast Boost, so every time it gets a kill, its special attack goes up. So you do not want to mess with this thing and let it set up on you, because if it does, you're kind of dead. Actually, the main reason I got the Executree is because I didn't want to have to deal with it myself. Anyway, well, if we're talking about electric types, we've got to go to the polar opposite of electric types, being our ground type. Thank goodness I didn't get Dugtrio alone, but I just got normal Dugtrio. I got normal Dugtrio because it's very important to have a ground type that can use Earthquake and just resist any electric type, well, be immune to electric type moves, and also get rid of Steel types, because I noticed that every single person in this draft drafted a Fairy Dragon Steel Core, so Dugtrio is going to be really useful at taking that out. I was trying to decide between Dugtrio and the big ground rabbit dude. Diggersby, that's it, Diggersby. From Kalos, that's it. Diggersby. So I was trying to decide between the two, but Diggersby was sniped beforehand, so made the decision for me. I grabbed Dugtrio. Dugtrio, I was happy to get. Might not be the most powerful Pokemon in the world, but it gets Earthquake, Sucker Punch, Final Gambit, Stone Edge. It also gets Stealth Rock, so we can use that to set up our own rocks, and we have a few Pokemon to be able to deal with hazards. Speaking of Pokemon who can deal with hazards, though, our next pick was Dhelmise. I was going for Decidueye, but Decidueye was sniped before me. But then someone said, hey, why don't you get Dhelmise? It's the same typing as Decidueye. And I said, but Dhelmise doesn't get hazard removal. And they said, well, it does get Rapid Spin. So I grabbed Dhelmise. Really the main reason that I would grab Dhelmise is because it gets Rapid Spin. It has really good attack and pretty decent defense and special defense here. But apart from that, the main reason I'm getting it is because it's a really reliable Rapid Spinner and it can do a lot of damage. It also gets Anchor Shot, its own signature move, which is a really cool. Plus, with the Steelworker ability, that we basically get Stab and this target can't switch out. So if you lock something in at the right time, you can kind of have a Rorschach situation of, I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me, and just finish the game like that. Or however you want to play. I'm not the boss of you. But I'm very glad I grabbed Dhelmise, and I hope it's useful in this game. Anyway, moving on to a Pokemon I'm very excited to use. I was so surprised when I saw it was still available, and that is Zoroark. Zoroark gets the illusion ability, meaning that it takes the appearance and name of the Pokemon at the back of your party. And if you swap out, it takes on that appearance again. So you can play mind games with someone if you're clever throughout the entire game. So you could. So I didn't grab a Psychic type. Psychic types do work well with Zoroark, but I have Pokemon that don't want to take a Psychic type move. Say I send in. There's one that I've got a Fighting type. Say I have one of those, which I do. I'll get onto that in a minute. And then somebody sends in, uses a Psychic type move. Zoroark's immune, hits it with a knockoff. Easy kill. You can slap a Focus Sash on this thing if you want to be very, very careful. But this thing is really, really good in a lot of different ways. It has Flamethrower, knockoff, Grass Knot, some hidden powers, decent special attack. Not the best, actually, really good special attack. It also has Nasty Plot if you want to try to set up, and Pursuit so nothing can escape your wrath, and Shadow Ball, all those good stuff that you want on a good Dark type. So that's 3 Dark types, so not the best in the world. But anyway, moving on to our next Z-move user. I was struggling to find out what the last 3 Pokemon I picked were going to be. I'd been selected for Toxicroak, and I had 2 tier 4 picks left. I need to go Grass type, I'll move on to that in a second, but I also wanted to grab another Pokemon. So I saw Flygon and I thought, okay, Flygon would be cool. I saw Mesprit, I thought Mesprit will be cool. But I've been watching A-Drive's P4G performance recently, and I saw him use Moltres. Now, a lot of people write off Moltres straight away in Draft League as, okay, one of the most important things in Draft League is setting up Stealth-Ox, and Moltres loses half its health to Stealth-Ox. But Moltres, I decided to make a Z-move user, because if Moltres sets up Z-move Sunny Day, it has the sun and a boosted speed. You have that in the right situation, and your speed is going to be really, really fast, and its attacks are also going to be really, really hard. This thing has some great moves such as Hurricane and Heat Wave, which can hit really, really hard, and it has Morning Sun, which will work really well with Z Sunny Day. So I'm very excited to use this thing. It also gets defog itself, so if we swap it in, then something uses Stealth-Ox, we can defog the Stealth-Ox away. As long as it's not in against a Rock type, you could probably deal with a lot of things with this thing. Plus it has really decent special attack, so Hidden Power Grass is never a bad idea on this thing. So I was very glad to grab Moltres, and I'm very excited to use this thing on the team. Next is another legendary trio. And I needed a Grass type. You guys have noticed probably by now that I have not grabbed it. Sorry, my chair's creaking so much. That's not me. I don't want to make anyone think that's me. Yeah, still the chair. So Virizion was my next pick. I needed a Grass type, and I grabbed Virizion. It has a Grass fighting type. It does kind of have that 4 times weakness to flying, but the Grass weakness to bug is gotten rid of, and it destroys all rock and ground types in its path. This thing gets some very good moves. I think it has decent attack and a special attack too. Nice. So it can attack either way, really. It has Sacred Sword, which is a great move, and I'm very excited to use this thing in the Draft League format. I think it's a good Pokemon, and I've never used it before in battle, but I'm excited to finally get a chance to. Now for our final pick, I needed an Ice type. Now originally I wanted to go Rotom Frost, and then somebody sent me for Rotom Frost. Then I wanted Avalugg, and somebody sent me for Avalugg. Thank goodness I had one last backup, and our final Pokemon that we drafted for the... You guys already see him. Dugong. This is the final Florida Flygon team member that I have drafted for this season of the XPDLA. Is Dugong. Dugong is, I think, a really good Ice type, because I noticed that somebody drafted Zygon 100% and somebody drafted Garchomp, so I was scared of those and I really wanted an Ice type. And this thing is a very good Ice type. It has Avalanche, which does a lot of damage. It also has Ice Beam, Ice Shard, has, I think it's special attack better than its attack. No, again, the same. But it has Thick Fat, which is a great ability. At Fire Ice type moves, so deal less damage. So if somebody's going in for, say, a Freeze Dry, not going to do anything. Somebody using a Fire type movement, again, not going to do anything. Dugong's really, really cool in that sense. items, it's not that great. It's a tier 5, it's the only tier 5 I got. So Dugong isn't the Pokemon that comes every week, but it's the Pokemon that comes it's going to come 2, maybe 3 weeks probably, this whole season. But the weeks that it does come, it's probably going to put in a lot of work that people aren't expecting. Because everyone, when they see Dugong, kind of writes it off, because it looks so adorable. I mean, look at that face. You can't look at that face and not say, "Aw." And it doesn't have the best typing in the world, but sorry, bless me. But it's a Pokemon that I'm very excited to use, and the final Pokemon that we drafted in this season's Florida Flygons. I'm so excited for this draft league. I'm applying for other draft leagues left, right, and center because I want to get another one going, and I'm very excited. Next week, I will be making a team builder, and then I will also be making a battle. I'll do live commentary for a battle against our first opponent next week. I've already scheduled that battle with them for this Sunday, so look forward to that. Then, and then I'll try to have a battle with somebody every Sunday, or at least every weekend coming up. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, put a smile on your face and leave a nice comment, or comment on what you think of this team, or any nickname ideas that you have. Hope you all have a great day. I will see you all in the next one, and ODF out. Goodbye.